And yes, and okay, yes, let's do it again. Then market characteristics, and then after this market characteristics, you would be able to understand how your customers behave, how they operate, how much are they inclined to use your solutions, whose value proposition is similar to your product or service, which means that basically, even though there is a product, even though you have a super good idea of how to do something, then there always is something already in market to what the people are using in order to get the same value. For example, if I want to get from point A to point B, then previously I was calling to taxi company. Now I'm using a taxi app or whatever. There also is public transportation systems, whatever. Basically, value proposition is going from A to B, and how you do it. This is your kind of how customers are doing it today. And so the first question is what you need to understand in order to create a data go-to-market strategy. The first data is how big is the market. You need to find out what's the size of your market is, and this is necessary to plan the budget, communication strategy, and distribution channels. And what I suggest here is to use official databases and other official sources. Usually official governmental databases are available in each country. In my case, and I think in Latvia, we have this if I'm not sure if someone else mentioned to you or no, but there is this data.gov.lv, which is a governmental data tool which allows to see many different things in what is happening here in Latvia. There's a central statistics bureau in each country as well, which is actually providing all the information and gathering all the information from the market. How many payments for each product could be found in there? How many whatever you need? How many I don't know unemployed people are in each country? This also is everything that you need to find is also in each statistics bureau web pages. And I'm in my experience in Scandinavian countries, I've been helping to export these wood construction products for the construction company. There was one. I mean, previously I've been working also as a business as an export sales consultant. So in this experience, I remember selling those wood components to Norwegian country, and also I used, of course, databases provided by their governmental official sources, and I was able to understand what's the need, how many people are actually building houses each year, and everything. So these platforms and web databases are needed in order to understand your market size. Also, of course, you can see how many small and medium companies are in each country, how many, and I don't know which industries they are working on, and so on. So market categories, sectors, and segments. Also, in this part, you should try to segment customers into groups and sectors and as specific to your product as possible. There can be several segments and industries. For instance, if there is a business to customer product, you could segment your customers by age, gender, income, occupation, etc. This also is you can find in database. Also, but however, if this is a B2B, business to business product, then you can also look up for industries if companies are self-employed people, or these are small and medium corporations, and so on. So this is possible to find in these databases. After this presentation, I will send you some links, useful links for using it. So don't worry, show you this. The penetration rate of main features of your product, but provided by other companies. So as I mentioned, like this traveling from A to B, how many analogs of your product or products with a similar value proposition are already in the market? And this Taxify Bolt example that I previously showed you with the picture, how much and how often do people use taxis? What is a taxi called? When is a taxi called more often? And what is the relationship with other means of transport, like public transport, whatever? So not always similar, exactly similar product, what is doing in the market, but basically a similar value that brings to your customer is doing in the market. So how many people, what times are they using public transport? You already know that this usually when people are going to and from job. So this could be also important to understand. Then taxis are mostly used, at least in Latvia, at the times when this is I understand this is a COVID time, but when there wasn't a COVID, then it was usually Friday or Saturday nights when young people were driving around the city to parties, whatever. This is a time when taxis are across the city, mostly only cars in there. So it's also important to understand how they are doing this currently and what's the how this feature is available for your customer. Then your customer's behavior and how do they work in connection with your product or service. So it means that how is your customer currently solving his problems with solutions that can be replaced or supplemented with your product service, which means that it's completely different, but he still manages to bring the same value, but with a different thing. What is the daily life of your potential customer? Is he currently facing any difficulties that your product can help him with, and how is it being addressed? What are the methods used by your potential customer to achieve the same results as your product? I wanted to mention that starting from here, this information might be gatherable not from databases specifically, but sometimes even actually contacting your competitors as well and looking from people, local people who can actually tell you how these things are happening here currently. So this is very valuable. Basically here you might actually do some interviews as well. And promotion of your product or service type. Are there any initiatives of state institutions, organizations, associations on the market that promote any of the functions of your product? Who is talking about this problem solution? So here I wanted to address like example of electric cars, for example. I think currently you all know that this pollution problem, everything, diesel, whatever scandals happening and so on, and European Union is very strict on this. We have this emission thing happening here. So governments are looking away how to reduce these CO2 emissions in each country. So what they are doing, they are promoting actually governments in several countries, and I think in Latvia as well, but I think in most of the European countries, we have this associations and governmental institutions are actually promoting a purchase of electric cars. In Latvia, we have subsidies, in fact, that if you want to buy a car, then if you buy electric car, the government will give you some part of money. I think it's not much compared to other countries. For example, in Norway, they give 50% of the car's price by government. So basically, government is buying 50% of your car. Which is a way how they are promoting this idea, and which is important, for example, to Elon Musk, of course, that he understands that there is people in those countries can access his product way easier than in other countries, for example, especially if you are looking. So this means how is government promoting, or whatever association is promoting your idea? There could be like, maybe, I don't know if there is some association which is usually talking about some kind of specific group's rights. This also is important if you are trying to target this segmented group, of course. So here, from the segments that you did previously, you would be able to understand what organizations are behind those segments. So I think this is for the market characteristics. So the market needs. Market needs will help you to understand the market demand from your product service and what problem you are solving actually. And the first question would be that where does the customer typically buy your product service? Sorry, I'm having cough. I'm dry mouth already. Okay. Where does the customer typically buy your product or service? What channels are used to purchase analogs of your product? Which customers would you reach by choosing which channel? And does your audience access your chosen channel? What this means, usually you should be like maybe asking someone else in the local market, or some people who you know, but by accessing your channel would also a good example be that older people might not be that handy on smartphones. So if you want to access old people to buy some product from web pages, then I think you should reconsider maybe how you would access those people, because it is I think known, and I think in most of the countries it's similar situation, that older people might not be that handy on those smart devices and products. It's not always the case, but I'm just saying that this is, you should look at this as an example. Or maybe, I don't know, if this is a digital product, you won't be promoting it in a way that your customer won't be able to hear it at all. How is your product purchased? What payment methods are popular in your market? What are the most popular channels in your market? So I'm in this place, actually, this is more for the IT companies, and usually I'm doing it because why I'm here putting this question means that if I'm building, I don't know, a web product or mobile app, then I understand that in Latvia, we have 4 larger banks. Banks have payment links provided by each of those. And for me, what does it mean to get this payment link into my app? Means that I need to find, I don't know what, I need to find this bank, and then this bank will tell me how can I get this payment button in my app. And this is specifically interesting for each of the countries as well. There are many different payment solutions, payment services available, and you need to understand what is the most common or popular in each of the countries. For example, there's a very popular service called PayPal, you might know it. But in Latvia, it's not the common product. It's maybe for international purchases in some larger Amazon store or whatever, but it's not a good solution if you would like to use for your local in-app purchases. We have, I think, we have MasterCard and Visa card payment systems already in place, which are very used by people. We have Stripe, which is popular for the implementation. We have actually currently, because of a European payment service directive, second payment service directive, in short, it is PSD2 regulation, all the banks are actually providing payment links in one hub, so you are able to access those payments from each of the bank. But I think it's a different story how the payments work. But whatever it is, you should understand how people will be buying your product in each of the countries. So not always PayPal would be the winning solution, because some of the people are not used to use it. Integration, collaboration, distribution channels. What are the major distribution channels for your product? Are those store chains, forums, advertisement portals, Etsy, for example? What is their market share, and how much of your target audience will you reach? For IT solutions, and this is from my experience, are there big players in the market with whom you could gain more market share by integrating or cooperating? And how big market share do these players have? So what I'm saying here is this, that my example in my company is this, that even though our product is a new product, we as a company been in the market for 20 years, but the company itself has a lot of different products, and one of the products, like what I'm currently building up, is pretty much unknown at the moment. And we are currently doing those partnership agreements with specific companies whose customers actually would be our customers as well. So if this partnership is successful, then we are actually also agreeing on some kind of a profit sharing of like splitting the profits of what I earn, you will be also able to earn, and so on. So also this is very important question. So then there is a market needs comes product requirements. Also, it is part of the market needs. Of course, language, understanding the market also means to understand which language you would like to communicate your product. Then registration process, like if this is an IT product, then also you need to understand how registration processes are regulated in each of your countries. For example, in Latvia, we are part of European Union, of course, so we have a lot of regulations coming from Central European government. And here is this, that like banking solutions or payment solutions, usually it's not, for them, it's not allowed to access these kind of informations if you are providing your user with only password and email, login name, whatever. You need to have this strong authorization in place. And strong authorization, I mean products such as eID cards or Smart ID, where you can virtually access your product, but which is considered as a strong thing. And yes, is there a need to register the product? And yes, or should it be done with a username, a password, as I said, or identification methods? What are the specific requirements of your product and how accessible are they to your end user? For example, in Latvia, 2 years ago, Smart ID was a completely unknown thing. But now there are 800,000 people actually having Smart IDs, which means that in Latvia, Smart ID is a tool that allows us in Latvia to access a e-bank. So it is a way, and Smart ID should be used in order, if you want to build some kind of a strong product, then Smart ID should be used in this local market. Like username and password is something that you should not do it at all. Also, maybe product requirements. Should you build it on Android? Should you build it on iPhone? What also it's important. For example, in America, United States, iPhone is the most popular mobile phone. I think there is a 70% market share of all the products in there. But in the world, Android is actually the most popular operating system available for each of the people. So it means that if you want to target United States, then usually iPhone platforms would be something that you should consider. But if you want to go outside of the United States market, then Android is more popular choice to do it. What else I wanted to mention here is product requirements also comes with, if you want, like there was an idea of this cafeteria, there might be some, you would need to register or have this, I don't know, what's the name of it? Maybe Linda might help me, but
Sorry, that's what I told you about.
Pārtikas veterinārais.
Okay. I thought you were thinking of the person who told you about. Yeah, pārtiks un veterinārais dienests, right?
Yes, how it's in English? Food and veterinary, like, I don't know. This is
food safety inspection, I could say.
Yes, inspection. Yeah, food inspection, something like this. Yeah,
we have experts on the team. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah,
most welcome.
So yeah, this you should actually look up their restrictions in each country. So in order to understand what are the product requirements for your service provided in each of the country. So the cafeteria part might be this good example. What problems are we solving, and what should be the key message to generate interest in your product? And so here are some ideas what I've been using, maybe very generic ideas, which is saves time, less mistakes, earns more, saves more, complies with regulation or more control or others. There are some commercials who say that we are able, like, I don't know, if it's washing powder or washing a solution for your clothes, then they usually say that there will be 100% clean, all white clothes will be whiter, and so on. So these are the things that you should consider as well, and what are the key messages that would allow you to generate interest in the product. And basically this key message is actually the problem, essentially the problem that you are trying to solve. Market competition, and what is your competition and how successful are they? What can we learn from and borrow from them? And also this is very important because not always in databases and interviews from the people around you will be able to understand some cool things. And here I'm looking at this. The first question will be who competes and why. Who offers solutions that directly match your product or service? Is the product the main source of income for this company? As I mentioned previously, not all the companies are having like single product companies. Sometimes these are also companies that are having some kind of a additional product that helps them to acquire customers to their key product, which are they offering. I would say this, for example, in a banking sector. Banks might give you, I think, insurance. In Latvia, we have a bank, Swedbank, which is actually offering insurance. Insurance is offered not only to banks customers, but also to customers who are not their direct banking customers. So by providing this insurance, they're also asking to get on and start to use their bank services as well. So if you are an insurance company, you should consider that there is a bank who's providing the same solution, but this is not their key product. So they might actually be looking for they would be able actually to provide the service for even cheaper price, or maybe different pricing level that you could actually consider as a normal value for it. How successful are they? How successful are your competitors? For each competitor, you should look up their profit. I think it's hard actually to find it. Not always companies are providing it, but there are some companies who are showing it in their, I don't know, investor relationships segment. In some of the companies have it, and maybe you could, if you are able, that would be a cool thing if you could find what is the paying customer ratio. Sorry, free or paying customer ratio. Also, this could help you to understand how many of them are actually paying customers and how many of them are free customers who are using their service. Sometimes it's also important because if the company usually are offering something for free, they are actually earning money from somewhere else, or maybe using this idea basically to, and why and how they are getting this money. This is also important to understand. So not all the business models are in the pricing page. So yeah, that should be understood. What do competitors offer? This is another question. How wide is the range of the services offered by a competitor? Does the company offer other services? Also, I think this really much corresponds to the first question, but not all the competitors, of course, are like one product companies. And how do competitors differentiate themselves? What is the competitor's value proposition? What do you consider to be the best killer features or key differences for your competitor product? And here I'm saying that don't look at your competitor as your enemy. Be very like critical and really do like what you really see as their like awesome, super cool feature that you are seeing as their whoa, I would like to be like them, or so something like this. And then understand where they are stronger than you, and so you could understand where are your strong points comparing yourself to them, of course. So maybe they are like, I don't know, cool cafeteria with cool interior, but maybe you are coming from South America and you are even stronger in that part. So I think you should look at it that way, that be critical to the customer and look at it not like, he's I know some friends who are doing this and looking at their competitors as nothing and saying, hey, we are always better and so on. Don't do this. It will be a problem in the future, of course. And that's one thing. Yeah. So what else? What channels do competitors use to distribute their product? Also, of course, I'm sorry for repeating some of the questions, but these are actually not repeating. So here you are looking from the competitor's part. You would be able basically to understand if the competitor is offering their solution as a white label service. It's mostly for IT services, but what does it mean as a white label solution? For example, also in my experience, as I was in the company where I'm working on, we had one product which we are selling as our own, but then there was a large bank who said, we would like to offer your product to our customers, but we want to have our own logos on it. So we started to negotiate how we will do as profit sharing and if this is cool for us and so on. And this is called white label solution. So white label means that we are not promoting our company, but we are basically profiting from their profits. And that's yeah. If your competitor is having a white label solution, is the product distributed through partners? If so, which ones? Is the product distributed directly? Are there direct sales involved, or indirectly through the marketplaces? So in an IT sector, I think marketplace would be Etsy, Amazon, so on. But also for the B2B products, usually people go and schedule meetings with managers and so on. This is called direct sales. You should consider if your product is, if your competitor is doing it and understand what does it mean for you. Sometimes you won't be needing to do this direct sales to directly sell the product for them to use, but sometimes you would do the direct sales in order to find a distribution partner as well. I hope you understood what I tried to mention, but as I said, that this experience with the bank that I had with this white label solution actually involved direct sales, in fact. And how much does your competitor charge? What is the pricing of your competitor's product? Which product features are offered free for charge? Which are offered for a fee? And how are other similar solutions priced? Here, this will also help you to actually understand how they are pricing the solutions, and also this would allow you to understand where you could actually price things differently comparing to your customers. And the last part of the data acquisition is a market stakeholders. What should you consider as your partners, or which market players need closer attention? And as you remember, market stakeholders or market players should be those associations and so on. So who are the biggest market players in your industry? And who are the key players? What is their impact on the specific market? Are there accredited partners, associations, larger companies, and so on, so on? Can you identify what these players could gain from working with you? And as I mentioned previously, those associations or organizations that are promoting those features that your product might actually give to the market could be beneficial for this association, for example, or a governmental institution. And if you are doing it, how they would benefit from you, and you might be able to answer it. And this answer actually will help you actually to create a proposition or this offer to this organization as well. So what is the business relationship with your target audience? I mean, what's the stakeholders relationship with your target audience? Which companies, not always competitors, have a commercial connection with your target audience? For example, telecommunication companies that send something to your customer, large chain stores that have influence over a wholesaler or manufacturer. And this, of course, depends very much on your industry. But what I'm saying here is this, that, for example, telecommunication companies are sending invoices each month. And end customers might be that they are like sending to, don't know, tens of thousands, small and medium enterprises. You might consider actually asking them if I would be able to place my advertisement on your invoices, because my product might benefit your customers. And so I think there's also a possibility that you could find. So then there are also a strong local associations. How strong and are there associations or other representative organizations in your chosen market? How are they financed? What is their impact on your chosen market and industry? And can you identify what it would take to start working with them? It's a similar question to this, but it's a little different in its essence. So what I wanted to say is this, that I have an example as well. It was, as I mentioned, I'm working in an international company. We are in 26 countries, and not all the strategies that works here, for example, in Latvia, would work in France or Netherlands or Belgium. And the thing is this, that we are, in my experience, like in my company, we are closely working with accountant associations. The thing is this, that in Belgium, this association is not that strong. It's basically a kind of a registration platform for association for these accountants, where they are registered, and that's it. Basically, they're doing some seminars and so on. But in France, for instance, this association is creating one of the largest not seminars but conferences in this industry. And they are financed from many different organizations and so on. So basically, all the largest like IT solutions for the accountants are usually trying to work with them and put up their commercials while these events are happening. So French Accountant Association is very strong, and they would be something that you could consider to working with them if you are working in this industry. So this is an example only, but I think you should also look up what could potentially be something that you could use in your own industry. And I think this is it for this data acquisition part. But yeah, if we look and wrap up everything that I mentioned here, you understood that not all the questions or not all the information would be needed for your specific product. Some of them might be useful for you as well. I understand that it's very much what I did here, but the thing is this, that if you try to be very detailed on this data acquisition part, all the other questions would be very easy for you to understand later on when someone or what else is asking about your company, industry, and so on. So because your end goal should be like to become, I don't know, the expert in the industry, and I think these questions might actually give you the best insight and give you the possibility to understand this on your own, of your own industry, and maybe of your own market. So with this information, and I made it here for the people who didn't attend this seminar. But if you ask why is this necessary to gather so much specific information, then yes, the answer is, of course, to develop the go-to-market plan, which is essentially the main thing that you need to create in order to actually acquire the market, to understand your channels, understand the way how you will promote your product, and so on. And let's go through to it. I will show you how it is. It's basically, I would say, kind of a draft of your business plan, so on. And I understand clearly that you might have been having some information from previous seminars in similar way as well. You might already know some parts of it, but let's do it again. So so your go-to-market plan will consist of the target audience. And let's go back to this slide. So the analysis, and so this is market segments, distribution channels, product characteristics, pricing, communication plan. So these 5 will be parts of your go-to-market plan. So, oops, target audience. I don't know why it is like this, but okay, whatever. In Spanish, you should define who your target audience is and how they are segmented. Try to create a numerical representation of size of the market, how big is the market, what is total addressable market, and if possible, try to calculate what the growth of this particular segment could be in the foreseeable future. For example, the number of Samsung phone users, the increase in the number of Toyota owners, and so on. And maybe I will show you an example how it worked for me. Give me a sec. I will show you my own go-to-market plan, which is made in a similar manner as I'm showing to you currently. Just wait a second. Sorry for. So you understand what I'm meaning, what I'm mentioning by target audience. So sorry.
As Jānis is looking for the information, maybe you have some questions already. You can type them in the chat or speak up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. That would be also helpful for me. And also, I want to already say that I will be getting over the time frame that I was given. So if you want to leave, then it's fine. But if you want to stay, then it's cool and ask me a question. So it's fine. So how do I do it? Am I sharing my screen still or not?
Yes, we can see your presentation.
Okay. So this is my go. So this is also what I did to you, this data acquisition in a similar manner as I did and showed to you. I have a lot of slides in there and all the information. I won't show it because it's somehow kind of a commercial secret and so on. But so this is the go-to-market strategy. It has target audience, distribution model, product characteristics, pricing, and communication plan. And in here, I had like numerical information. Actually, I understood how many outsourced accountants I have. I understood how many of those accountants, how many customers they have. Basically, this information that I'm showing here was information that I gathered in this data acquisition part. So all this information that I can see here is something that I already researched before. So the next part is about the industries. What are the industries, and which is this TAM, what I mentioned before, which is target acquirable market. And in Latvia, we have like 80,000 VAT payers. Most of them are actually small and medium enterprises. So I also have second part is I think something that I'm actually here is a distribution model, how I will be distributing my product, who will be my partners, how I will be selling, what will be my sales channels, and so on. And these things are here. And then, of course, the product characteristics, which languages, what technical parts or whatever should be needed in the product. And at the end, pricing and communication plan is something that has helped what I'm building currently. So that was an example of why I'm doing this way. I hope that it will help you to understand why I'm showing this information. Yes. The distribution channels, very little or no one, and you should be critical to yourself, actually know about your company and your products. So you need to plan how you will reach your target audience when selecting specific distribution channels. And here I mentioned several channels that are possible for you. These could be distribution partners. With which companies would you close a sales or marketing agreement? And also this comes from this acquisition part. What contribution can you make to a particular partner? How will you pay the partner, or or how will you your partner benefit? And be specific, because by understanding each of those channels, this will create you a proposal that you will be able to use in order to get to this sales partner or distribution partner. And this partner should be able to understand what you are trying to sell to them. Basically, hey, do you want to help me to sell me this product and this? But if you are specific and you understand their market and your market, then this partner might actually be a very cool and very beneficial partner for you in the future. So be specific. So also, state institutions, non-governmental organizations, are there local associations, federations that you can use as your own distribution channels? Why or why not? And what should such institution do to cooperate with you? Also, as you can see, this question was already answered in the data acquisition part. And if you find that there are a state institution that could potentially be beneficial to you, you should visit them, and they could actually help you. I'm not sure if I saw suddenly I started to see that there is a questions here. Yeah. Okay.
I think the question was answered. Yeah, it was by Soraya about the what was it again? PVD in Latin, food and safety.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So that was answered.
Okay. So don't be scared actually to interrupt me anytime during my presentation. But after this presentation, I will look up all the questions and try to answer it one by one. And direct sales. Usually direct sales is something that you should do maybe at the beginning as a business owner, but later on this part might be very costly because it will require a sales team and so on. So you should understand and create kind of a fundamentals of how this sales process will happen. And also always, is direct selling the model you consider the most appropriate for your product, and under what conditions? Because not always this is the most efficient way how to approach, because it always there's a salespeople who are creating there's quite a lot of time they need to prepare even to meet the company, and when they meet, it's always not instantly known that the customer will pay for your product. For example, the purchasing process in banks usually takes up to 1 year. If I visit a company, if I'm a startup and I want a bank to be my customer, then it starts with some kind of a lower manager to whom I present this idea. Then this manager goes to a larger, manager who then actually visits a finance this general manager, whatever, who is giving the money actually to buy your product. And you will need to be prepared for quite a lot of time wasted or not wasted in the meetings, in understanding what is their kitchen in their own place, and how are they actually and if they are willing actually to buy your product. And so it's quite a huge effort to do this, and not always the most appropriate or best way to do it as a startup. And for me, I've been burning myself with this part as well before. I've been like visiting one company for like, I think 6 months in order to like adjust my product, to adjust all the agreements and everything in order to them to buy, just to understand at the end that they won't be buying my product. So that's the thing. That's like you need to kind of I don't know, you need to have some kind of internal feeling that they will be or won't be buyers of your product. So also collaboration with the big players or the big companies whose customers could benefit by using your product service. How will you work with them? I don't know. This could be like, I don't know, headphones or earbuds. You could, I don't know, do a partnership with Samsung. Then if the Samsung is selling your phone, then they could give your headphones as a part of what they are offering. That's like just a stupid example, but there might be some other cooler ideas for that part. And maybe there are some other channels that I cannot think of yet, but I think you might know on your own that could work potentially, I guess. And maybe by developing this data acquisition part, you might be able to understand that there are something else that maybe your competitors are using. Sorry, what is happening? Okay. Yeah, we are in the 16th slide out of 20. So the last slide is, of course, the ending slide, but 3 more slides. And sorry for language misspelling, but this is product description. And as I mentioned before, you should understand what's your MVP is. MVP means minimal viable product. And does your product need to be tailored to the specific market jurisdiction? And why I'm saying this is because not always all the products work in each jurisdiction. You need, like, for example, if you are offering some kind of educational thing for schools, you need to understand that I think the graduation, like not the graduation, but evaluation system, like in some countries you have this A, B, C systems, but in Latvia we have this in numeric system, like 1 to 10, whatever. Also, how long is the lectures happening in each country? Is like university lectures in Latvia are 1.5 hours long, but the school lessons usually are 45-minute long lessons, and maybe this is also important if you want to get to other markets, and of course there are many things that you need to understand before you go. And also I want to say a very important thing, that you should also be looking at one interesting part. For example, Estonian market, it is only 1.2 million people living in there. If you like try to like adjust your product, and it will take you like, I don't know, 1 year just to get this market, would you consider going to German market, for example, where there are tens of millions people in there, and maybe then adjust their product you're offering there to Latvian or Estonian markets? So this is also like in order to understand the future of the business and how efficient it would be to adjust the product in that case. And also note that adoptions may not always be technical in nature, but legal, such as data retention in European, this is, I mean, GDPR in the European Union, which is only in European Union, or the linguistic aspect, or the other regulations and circumstances that affect your market. And this is also important. What affects the product regulations? What are the local standards and certificates required? What local compliance must be met? This should be described in this product description segment. Also, what are your concerns or potential problems? Are there any critical elements to consider? And maybe you are able to solve those problems in each market. For example, in my experience, I know that I had this identity product, which allowed to sign documents digitally. It was easy to develop here in Latvia and Baltic states because we have very regular ID numbers, for example, in Latvia, which is very interesting because why I'm saying this, because for example, in Germany, they are changing ID numbers, I think in 5-year periods. If there's someone else who knows, you can help me with this, but that was a problem because it was very hard actually to tailor the product that would, which is very, where the ID number is very fundamental of all the ecosystem. Then these changes that German legislation is doing was very hard for us to do it. And of course, there were some ways how to solve it, but it also took quite a lot of effort from us to develop for the product. So also you need to understand if there are problems potentially happening in the market, like that could might actually change your product in some ways. And of course, other elements that I didn't mention, maybe you know better of your own industry. And the pricing, also create a pricing that meets the specifics and needs of the market. Take into account competitors' pricing and other aspects in the relevant market. Like you also example. As I mentioned, that I am a country manager of the product in Latvia. So it means that there was a product some time ago in Belgium that was built up there and built for their country needs. And so there was this pricing model built for their purchasing power. But as you understand, then Latvia is not that rich country. So we needed to look up and find a way how we could lower the price while still earning money for the product, and so you need to understand that not all the pricing will be the best pricing for each of the country or each of the market you're looking at, and also provide a compensation model. And why I'm saying this, that this is also if one exists, if you are looking for your partners, if you will have partners, then sometimes compensation model also work for you, and this also could be should be described. I would say not the pricing, but a business model segment, where you are saying that I'm earning 10 euros, but 2 euros each month goes to my partner. So, okay, this is also a way how you describing it, because later on, and when your company will start to grow, the financials will become a very fundamental part of your daily life. And you might be looking at investors, and then investors will ask you, what's your the business model, and of course all these compensations, pricing models, and each country specifics is a very crucial part of it, and you will be able to basically have this as your kind of a model how you started it all, and will be able to develop your financial plan if you will be creating investment attraction plan as well. Also, if you will need in future to create this investment plans and if you are looking for investors, then also I have an experience in this and I can help you with that, but that's not in this presentation. I think that there might be someone in your current existing seminars that I'm part of. Someone may be telling about it as well, if with the investor relations or pricings or business modeling. So this is part of it. But as you know, every entrepreneur sometimes has been part of all of those things. And the communication plan, I'm not the market kind of a marketing manager or so on, but still as a business owner or entrepreneur or I don't know, business developer, I should consider a communication plan as one of the fundamental parts of my go-to-market strategy. And actually this data analysis would allow you to create a good communication plan. In fact, today I had a call with, not today, but like 10 minutes before this this seminar, I had a call with a large marketing agency to whom I actually showed this plan that I showed to you as well. I told him I have this and this big market, I have that and that channels considered as a good ways. I have this target groups that I looked up, and these are my competitors, these are costs, and how you could help me. So basically, I had a presentation of 1 hour with marketing agency to whom I actually showed everything, and they will be helping me to create a specific communication plan based on this information that I gave to them. So usually this communication plan that they will be developing and actually later on will be executing themselves. And sometimes you as your own will be doing, then these, I would say, are the fundamental parts of it. How will you communicate the product to your customers? And the answers would be, are those messages, how these messages will be distributed, what channels you will be using. Is this Facebook, is this LinkedIn, is this Instagram, is this, I don't know, posters on whatever. Are those some kind of a target group that you can get on, I don't know, in the forums like Reddit or Facebook groups? And to mention here about Reddit, Reddit is very popular, forum in the world, but it's not that commonly used here in Latvia. People in Latvia usually use Facebook groups, so also consider that. The purpose of the message or campaign, what do you want to achieve, and what could potentially be the costs of it? And to create a communication strategy, you should answer to how would you reach your audience? Which channels will you use? As I mentioned, social networks. Are those TV? Is this TV? Is this posters? Are those posters? What message will you send to which audience? What tools are needed? Are those webinars? Maybe you need to educate your audience about the specifics of your product, and maybe this is very much needed of your audience that you are doing in those webinars. But also consider the fact that we are in this COVID times. People are somehow bored of all those seminars and web meetings and so on. And you should also look up, maybe there are some cooler ideas how you would approach your audience as well. Because currently in my company, we are looking up as the webinars as a cool tool that how to educate our customers. But the thing is this, that even though there are like hundreds of people who accepts this webinar, only like 20 people goes to them. So I think people are actually bored of all this COVID situation, and maybe you should wait for, I don't know, go to open air, maybe do some kind of open air webinar in the park. So and be cool about it. People like to meet other people, and I hate actually to see you through the screen, and hopefully it will be possible to see you maybe in real life as well. Maybe there are some recorded videos, basically the same thing that we are currently doing exactly for my presentation. Maybe there are some blog articles or booklets that you can distribute, but I think the communication plan is something that you already also had previously from the marketing sessions and so on. And that's it. The next steps that I would suggest to do is basically start by data acquisition, these answers. And I actually built the presentation in a way that, as you saw, there were questions. By answering them, you will be able to understand your market. And this understanding the market means the plan, how you will get there. And there will be your sales channels, marketing channels, pricing, local needs of each of the market. And I think I hope that this presentation will help you to make it without any efforts. But of course, I'm here. You can always ask me anything. And good luck. Yes, here are my contacts. Thank you. I'm happy. I'm happy. I don't know, to answer your questions. And I don't know, where can I see if there are some. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there are really any in the chat, but I apologize. Maybe we have some questions or comments or struggles or challenges.
Hello, Jānis. Thanks for your presentation. It's quite useful as a whole, this platform. You know, through this platform, I have already, with this data acquisition, I've filtered already some of my ideas, you know, like whenever I was like, oh, this will work, then after some seminars, and I found out that after some research, I found that no, that doesn't work. For example, maybe for this audience, or like in Latvia, it will not work so better. Maybe in other countries, or maybe it's not so good idea. As I see it before. But I like to ask you something just to get your opinion, maybe like you give me some advice or just get your opinion. Like I've paid attention that Scandinavian countries invest, like hire people in Latvia, do create here some companies, especially in IT sphere, mainly Norway, have big input on this issue. I think that because it's beneficial for them, because there is like low salaries and living costs are low, that's why it's much more beneficial for them to hire people from here and to open offices here. I just want to ask you, like, what about like recycling industry? Like, for example, it can be textile industry, plastics, I don't know, wood, just recycling, right? Because here they will get, if they like do some grants or invest in Latvia, they will get a lot of employees with much lower cost, and but they can use the materials themselves, because especially in Scandinavian countries, it's very popular to have a clean green city. I don't know what such kind of recycling issue in our current agenda. So how easy, how difficult, like it's quite big business, and but it's like to start to about this big issue, how real it is, and just need your advice about it.
You are basically asking what's the market situation of the recycling industry here. I actually had some experience in that as well, but I'm not the best expert in that field as well. During the study times, I had one course mate from Switzerland, and both with him we tried to create one cool idea, which was basically to create a kind of these cans of the trash, which would allow to separate each the food waste from the paper and so on. At that time, we didn't have anything like this in Latvia. We just had all those large containers outside. And in fact, it was cool that the university actually purchased from us these containers. And what we had to do after that was we needed to find this garbage company who is actually operating and differentiating all those garbages after that. But what we found out really fast is this, that there were basically all those garbage companies are putting all the trash in one big car, and basically they're not distributing anything themselves. So I'm not sure, maybe there's something changed already. But about the Scandinavian countries and the influence on Latvian market, there is a big thing. I wanted to say that there is, I think, 25% of Latvian economy is actually related to Swedish economy as well. We have like Swedish banks here. We have large these clothing companies, car manufacturers, whatever. All those companies are somehow related also to Latvia, because we are cheaper market, as you mentioned before, for the IT sector and so on. And what happens is this, that those companies with their values actually come here to Latvia. And in fact, in this Swedish market, they have this, that the governments are subsidizing the companies who are thinking green. And by thinking green, this means that digitalizing your internal whatever. For example, I am working with digital solutions, and previously with those two companies that I've been working with, we are always like targeting and the key message is doing everything paperless. So those companies who are Swedish companies usually come to Latvia, and they are also pushing out the services that are paperless services. So people are trying to adjust to those things. However, in a Swedish market, where are those headquarters of those companies, usually they are benefiting of this, that because their governments are, I don't know, subsidizing or removing some taxes or so on for those. And this something is coming to Latvia as well. And I also, in this example in my presentation, when I mentioned this electric cars and CO2 emissions, this also is part of that. In Latvia also, we are, I think, 5,000 euros you will be getting from the government if you are buying a car here in Latvia. But in Norway, of course, you will be getting 50% out of the car's price. But in the garbage market, I actually I might
garbage, like
recycling market. Sorry.
Yes, it's not just this garbage of plastic.
That's
it can be very, like, for example, if I'll give some example of some textile recycling, I know, like, many people sometimes they have a lot of clothes, or I don't know, so many textile waste, they don't know where to throw it even.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be recycled and to reused again, and to eliminate the waste and such kind of.
One thing I think, and Linda, I think, won't let me lie about it. As I mentioned, the Swedish company called H&M in Latvia is actually one of the largest promoters of this thing. They are in fact actually promoting the idea that you should bring your old clothes to them, and then they will give you some kind of a discount of their product. This is one thing.
But also, I didn't know about it.
You can go with old clothes to them, and then they will give you this. Another thing, what here in Latvia is, and I actually know at larger supermarket chains, I think next to Riga Plaza, if it's next. No, I'm not sure if you know the place, but there is several large supermarkets in Latvia where outside of the buildings there is this a place where you can throw out your clothes, and usually those clothes are separated. If those are in good condition, those are sent to this charities, and if not, then those are like recycled for the second use. And though there are some containers in there, I think some of the newer buildings, residential buildings, are also having these containers next to them. This is what I know, but specifically what's the market size and how people are doing it, I'm not sure if I know it yet, but I think that there is a possibility to find it somewhere online. And I believe that H&M might actually be providing this information because they are a Swedish company, and usually they are also providing this information in this investor related post. So you can use that as well. And maybe if you cannot find it, you can actually do always a call to them, to their manager in Latvia, and ask them what's the market, or maybe you can find about it, to just directly approach them. I think these are cool people that could actually help you. And if not, then you can also maybe look up those containers that I mentioned. I will try to give you the name, and maybe they will give you some insight of the market as well, and more specific, and it would be very useful for you. But I'm not sure if I can answer like this much better than I did now.
Thanks so much for your ideas, for your advice. Yes, it was very useful.
Thank you for your question, Sevda. Do we have anyone else with a question or comment or a story?
I do have hello. I do have a lot of questions, but they are about blockchain, your blockchain experience. But I don't know if it's appropriate in this moment. Maybe the other ones maybe would like to ask about the presentation.
You can write to my email, then we can of course do some offline meeting or whatever.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
because I think that's a very specific question. I actually had to Google what's blockchain because we had a previous conversation with Cesar.
We were. Yeah.
Anyone else with a question, comment, an experience? And if not, then we can call it a day for today. You have Jānis' contacts. You have my email as well. Jānis will share the presentation. Right. So even if you don't have a question at the moment.
I have a question.
Yes.
It would be interesting for me to get to know your feedback of this presentation, and if Linda could maybe organize this, then I don't know, asking question, how do you feel about it? Then I would be happy to know. This will also to help me to be better on the next presentations in the future.
That's a good idea. Yes, we don't. I don't kind of I sent like an overall, let's say like a summary of what was seen and heard after each session, but I don't really ask you guys to participate, but that's a good idea. I will do this in the email that I send you.
Yeah.
And I really do hope to hear back from you so I can give that feedback to Jānis. And then let's finish for today. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you, Jānis, for being with us today and sharing your knowledge. And thank you for your interest in this project. So I will send everyone a presentation that Jānis shared with us today once I have it. This was our 8th lecture, actually, so it's only 2 left for this pre-incubation period before we start the MTG incubator and start to recruit the actual teams and individuals with your wonderful business ideas. So have a beautiful Thursday night, and I'll see you all next week.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you next week. Bye.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll stop
Bye.
the recording. And
Yes,
if
bye.
you have any question or anything, I'll stay until the end, just like always.